I'm Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Every relationship is different and every breakup is different. Work with me and you'll get professional help on your situation. And if you're in no contact, focused on personal growth, my workbook series, The Knowledge, will help you make changes like you've never made before. Available now at AskCraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And in this video, we're going to be talking to you about why silence always works on your ex. There is power in silence, isn't there?
A lot, yeah.
There really is. And, you know, it's counterintuitive in a lot of ways. Because obviously, oftentimes, a lot of times after a breakup, we tell you guys to stop reaching out to your ex. Okay, and leave it in silence. And when you're in that situation, everything inside of you wants to fill that space and create that connection again. It's very painful to allow that space to grow because you feel like it's going to make the relationship end if you don't save it, if you don't do whatever you can to talk them into changing their mind or whatever manipulative strategy you want to do. But it's not as powerful as leaving somebody alone. Silence allows the space to grow between you both. Now, at first, that's what the other person is wanting. But as it continues, it will get to a place where they're uncomfortable with it and they don't like it.
I was just thinking how uncomfortable people in general are with silence.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever had a conversation with somebody and there's just a lull. There's that awkward feeling where it feels like there needs to be some space taken up, you know? Somebody needs to say something quickly or else it's going to be awkward.
Yeah.
So I think there is a general uncomfortableness with silence. And I think you're right. There is so much power in it. Silence gives us time to process. It gives us time to reflect. It gives you time to decide what you want. And same with your ex.
That's right. And if you're focused on the personal growth and really improving your attachment issues, it's going to make enduring no contact so much easier because you're going to feel like you have purpose. You're going to feel like you're doing something actively. And you are. You're working on your issues. You're growing. You're changing. And you're putting yourself in a position of strength, as opposed to just sitting back and not doing anything. But, you know, there's a lot of bad advice out there on breakups. Quite honestly, I feel like because of TikTok, there must be like 500 people on TikTok giving horrible breakup advice. Anybody is just talking about no contact and what to do when they have no experience, no business talking about it. And they will tell you to do really toxic things and have toxic attitudes towards things. But we're always trying to put you in a position to navigate in a healthy way, okay? Not being petty or vengeful or manipulative, spiteful, controlling, all of these things that so many people are telling people to do.
And sometimes it's even clinicians. Sometimes it's even therapists.
It's true.
Because, you know, in the counseling world, we're taught communication is key. You want to communicate as much as possible, over-communicate instead of under-communicating. When after a breakup, things are completely different.
Yeah.
You know, your partner has decided to end that relationship, to sever it. And so expecting them to be at that same communication level that you want to be at is really unrealistic. You know, part of a breakup is understanding your ex at that moment, their needs, now that the relationship has ended, their need for space.
Yep.
And so that silence, that space can be very helpful for the two of you when forcing a conversation might actually do a lot more harm than good.
Absolutely.
Part of what makes this space so helpful is that it allows your ex that time to think and to process, as we were talking about. It also shows that you can handle it. So in a partnership, in an adult romantic relationship, there is some expectation that you are going to have to handle some things emotionally on your own. Not everything, and not nothing. So there is that healthy balance
Yeah.
between partners called interdependence, to where you are able to rely on your partner for some emotional support, but you are able to self-soothe when necessary. That your partner isn't this, fix it to all of your issues. And so being able to be okay with the breakup and give them that space shows them that you can self-soothe. And even if internally you are struggling with that, there are so many things that you can do during this time apart and during this space to help you feel better. We have tons of videos on it.
Yeah.
No contact, managing no contact, and the anxiety that comes with it. It's also important to remember that your ex is not the person that will console you after the breakup. And once they decided to end the relationship, they let go of that responsibility. And I know that they were your most likely the person that you could rely on most. And so it's hard to be going through an emotionally difficult time without them. But that is part of the breakup. And we have lots of hope that you will be able to manage without relying on them for support even through this.
Yeah, you have to show strength, okay? It's one of the hardest things you may ever have to do is not reaching out to your ex during a breakup. Believe me, I know. But we're telling you because we see what happens with the people that do and the people that don't. And the people that stay focused on the personal growth and, are committed to it, like doing the workbooks and therapy, doing the creative healing course, all those things. And the people that are just focusing on where's their ex? What are they doing? Who are they with? Are they online? They're offline. They posted. They didn't post. That stuff ultimately doesn't really matter. What matters is what you're doing to turn your situation around. So I got a good email today that I knew you guys are going to like because it's going to really talk about the power of silence. And we're going to give some good points in here on how it's going to help you turn your situation around. Okay? So they said, "Hi, Coach Craig. I've been watching your channel for a few months now, and I have to tell you, your team is by far the best out there."
Why, thank you.
I don't think she meant you. She said team.
Team
Margaret, isn't that two people a team? Can three people be on a team?
That's fair. I'll give you credit. You would deserve it.
Of course, she's on the team. "I am so sorry for the loss of Margaret, as she was so wise and kind. And no nonsense."
She was no nonsense.
She was no nonsense. Believe me. She really was. She was tough.
Yeah.
Probably tougher than you and I.
Oh, yeah.
"I miss her, and I know she would be so proud of the work you continue to do." Well, thank you for saying that. We appreciate that, and we both miss her as well.
Yeah.
"I'm in my late 20s, and my boyfriend is in his early 30s. We have been together for about 9 months. We met at a friend's party and had a good time. We started going out occasionally and both felt like we had a strong connection. We started texting every day and going out a few times a week. But I must admit, I got a little upset that one of his exes occasionally reached out to him. They were in a 2-year relationship and it had only ended about 4 months before we met. So it's still kind of new. 4 months, it's not too close, but still coming out of a 2-year relationship, he hasn't had much time to get out of it.
Yeah. And I would be concerned too if I were her. There's always that threat, that looming threat of a partner's ex that can be really scary. And you know that they have history, so it feels like they have an advantage over you. So I understand her anxiety.
Yeah, absolutely. He told her he was seeing someone new and did tell her that if she was going to reach out, she couldn't cross any boundaries. So that's a good sign. She backed off for a while, but then started reaching out more around 6 months into our relationship. Even though he would be transparent when she messaged him and even showed me the messages at times, I got insecure. Okay, so I like the fact that he was being transparent about it. That seems reasonable. He wasn't trying to hide anything.
Right. And I mean, he was showing her. I think that's pretty bold to say, hey, this is what's happening. This is exactly what we're saying to each other.
Yeah, that's transparent in my book.
Yeah.
Fair enough to me. I mean, you don't want to tell somebody, I don't want you talking to your ex, because it only makes them want to talk to their ex.
Right. But I can understand how for some people that would be
triggering.
Triggering
for sure.
or even a deal breaker, you know?
Yeah.
For some people, that's just how they see it, and that's okay too.
Yeah. I get it. I tried to keep my composure, but sometimes I would shut down. There were a few times where she reached out when we were hanging out. He told me. He didn't try and hide it. But I couldn't help but wonder if he still had feelings for her. So far, it's an awkward situation, but he's handled it pretty well so far. But it makes you wonder what's going on there.
Yeah. And, I mean, when you end up dating somebody who just got out of a relationship, a 2-year one after 4 months, there might be some lingering feelings. And what would that mean? Maybe there still are some. Maybe he had a hard time with the decision, but finally decided to end the relationship. And maybe he still does have a lot of love and care for her, but is ready to move on.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the case. And would she be okay with that?
It's tough. It's tough. And sometimes you have to find that out slowly, right?
Yeah.
He said she had some family issues and just wanted him to be there as a friend to talk with. I know he's been close with her family, so I really tried to respect that. I could sense he was distant from me. I couldn't help but wonder if she still not over her or what was going on, if he was still not over her. Got it. I think I pushed a little too much when I felt insecure and got him a little frustrated. He opened up and said that her mother was having some health problems and felt like he wanted to be there for her because she was very good to him.
We talk about this all the time, how during relationships, families can intertwine.
Yeah.
And so I wonder if her family felt like his family.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, I could think about many of my exes and their family and how close I was to their parents. And, had a deep love for their family. So, if something was going on health-wise, I'd want to be there for them too, He admitted that he was getting a little confused about things because he does care for her and her family, but doesn't think that they work as a couple. So now the contact is starting to make him wonder. He feels guilty. He sees the mom having health problems. I mean, it's understandable. We're human,
Yeah. It's also part of dating somebody so soon after a breakup. So guys, be conscious of this.
Yeah.
That time to process, that space really does make a difference.
Yep.
I wonder if even 6 months from now or 8 months from now, a year from now, he would have been much more secure in whether he did want to get back with her and repair things or not.
Yeah, he probably didn't have enough time to really figure that out. They argued too much and would have big fights. He said he didn't think it was good for either of them, so he broke up with her. The next month or two, it was a struggle for us. We would see each other, but I could feel his confusion. It got to the point where I couldn't sit with the uncertainty, and I asked him if he wanted to be with me. She could feel it. You could just feel what it would be like to be in her shoes.
Oh, yeah.
And you could feel that distance and that confusion. He said he loved me, but he was confused and thought we should take a break. He said he doesn't know what to do, but he cares about us both. He said he thinks we are compatible and they are not. It was really hard for me when he said he wanted a break. I wasn't sure what that even meant. For the first few weeks, I reached out. Sometimes he was friendly. Sometimes I felt like he was a bit colder. I found your channel and decided to stop reaching out to him from now on. Okay, well, when you stop reaching out, it shows the person that you respect their decision and their autonomy to be alone, okay? Oftentimes, when we're in that situation, we beg and plead, we try and change their mind, and it's a normal reaction for many of us because we feel a close connection. We don't want it to end. It's scary, it's overwhelming. We have all these chemicals released in our brain, and it makes us feel crazy, right? But in time, they will feel that space. But it takes time for them to feel that space. But it's a lot more powerful when you're being silent.
I agree. And I think in this situation, it's extra tough because I think a part of him might still be grieving that 2-year relationship, given that he's on the fence and it seems that there's some guilt involved with the ex's mother. And so on one end, it's almost like she's downplaying their relationship by saying our relationship should be a lot more important right now. And for somebody who's grieving that, I can see how it can be very difficult. You know, I am really sad about this. Maybe I shouldn't be this sad because I have another partner, but then their mom is sick and somehow I'm finding myself caring and trying to make sense of all of these seemingly contradictory emotions.
Yeah. So now he's got to sit with all of that, thinking, I'm not sure I want to be with this person who we weren't really working well, we were fighting all the time, versus a new relationship that was going well. And really, it sounded like the biggest problem was her lingering in the background, this ex in the background.
Yeah, it does seem like that. And likely for him, it took him some time to get to that decision. And I just want to remind you that it does take exes some time before coming to a decision to break up. So they've likely thought about it for some time. In this case, he has probably thought about it with his partner of 2 years for some time, that he was going to break up, that they weren't compatible, that it probably wouldn't work long term.
Yeah.
He's still in that process of solidifying that decision 4 months after. Now he's still talking with her, going back and forth, lingering feelings. But on your end, now that you're on this break, you have to give him all that space to process it. If you apply any more pressure to it, it will cause him to start acting in survival mode in ways that he might not actually mean clear-minded.
Yeah, the missing her is going to be a lot more powerful. You know, he's spending time with his ex and the family and the mother and, you know, seeing what's going on there. We don't know what's going on there, but wondering about her. He's in silence with her. He doesn't know what's going on with her, right? And that's more powerful, I think.
Yeah. And I think it's also powerful in reminding him of his own autonomy. At the end of the day, you want to make sure that his decision is his own. If he ever feels manipulated into a decision or forced into one, that's going to cause his desire and attraction to drop. So by accepting this break, by giving him that space to think about it, the hope is that at the end of this, he is going to come to some decision that is his own, that he doesn't feel forced or further influenced by you to make this decision and then later hold resentment or regret about it. That he is processing it, thinking about it, going over the pros and cons on his own, and also tying up those loose ends with his ex.
Yeah. And figuring out one way or another what he's going to do with her.
Yeah, this is a confusing situation. You know, when there is grief involved and illness, somebody that you do care about after many years, it can get really complicated.
There's a little bit more to the email here. She said, I decided to give him space. I watched a whole bunch of your videos on no contact and could see why it was so important. I was scared to take it, but I trust you guys. I didn't feel good reaching out to him. I just felt bad afterwards, like I was pushing my will onto him.
Yeah, that's exactly what we were talking about too, about allowing him that space to make his own decisions. And it seems like you were having some guilt too, that, okay, maybe I am trying to force this or move this in a direction that I want that's based off of, you know, my needs and where I want this to go, rather than seeing that he might have some different desires right now. Giving him that space also shows him your boundaries. This is really important. It's basically you saying that I'm not going to engage with somebody who is not wanting to engage with me back right now. That I respect your boundaries and you can respect mine. I'm not going to emotionally invest further in this while you're in this place of making up your mind. I want to be with somebody who's sure of me. So giving him this time will allow him that time to make a decision that's going to end up giving you a clear answer of where he's at. And that's what we can ask for at this moment.
And it shows a lot of strength on her part to do it.
Yeah.
I feel like now that if he is trying to figure things out, he has to see what life is like without me. Good. Yes. And I think he is. If he is going to go back to his ex, I'd rather it happen now then get more invested in him.
Yeah, that's exactly the point I was trying to make just there.
Yep.
Is that getting a clear answer is better than forcing your own agenda on a person.
I haven't posted anything on social media in about 3 weeks. I feel like him not seeing anything will make him worry more and confused. And I'm going to focus on me. She put in caps.
Good.
I need to make sure he is good for me and I am good for me. I am doing your workbooks every day and they make me feel stronger. I feel much wiser already and I feel like I will stop making a lot of small, stupid mistakes I used to make. I am trying to use the space for me and my advantage. It's good to focus on the healing.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's good to remind yourself that you are healing too throughout this process. You know, maybe there's some things that are coming up inside of you, some anxiety of him not having a sure decision. Maybe this is a reoccurring theme in your life. So it's going to be important to understand that about yourself, understand what's coming up for yourself, and work through those issues.
Absolutely. She says, what do you think about my situation? Do you think there is hope for us? I feel like there is, but he has to figure things out first. Well, I definitely think there's hope to this situation. And I think a lot of it is going to be how things play out with the ex and the mother. And, you know, coming to a place of, are they going to really try and fix it? Is he going to be there for the family? Is he not ready to move forward with her yet? Or if he's still trying to kind of work things out with the ex? There's some confusion there. But it sounds like, from what I've read, the big issues in this situation were the ex and maybe not being over her and not between her and him. And I think that the space between you that grows every day allows him to figure out on his own at his speed what he wants to do. And they start to see that you're no longer reaching out. You're respecting that decision. They have to live with that consequence. And if they don't do something, they're going to lose you.
And right now it seems really one-sided. It seems like he's making all the decisions. I want to remind you that you also have a decision here. That this break is also some time for you to clearly decide what you want. Realistically, I'm going to be honest here. You're dating somebody who's coming out of a relationship after 2 years. You know, this is a big deal. There's probably still going to be some lingering feelings for a while. The ex might not be completely out of the picture for some time. It's up to you to say, okay, is this a boundary? Is this something that I can't accept? Am I okay with that? Am I okay with being alongside of him while he heals from another relationship? It's your decision, you know?
In her case, it sounds like she's really seeing, okay, I'm going to use this time to focus on me and to also think about if he's the one that's going to be my best option. So she had a nice positive mindset about it.
I think that's the exact attitude that you want to have about the situation. And this time and space might give him the idea of, okay, how much am I missing her? How much do I want this relationship to work? How much am I thinking about this new relationship during this break? And same for you. You know, if you notice yourself really being resentful about the fact that the ex is still in the picture, process that. You know, what is coming up for you? And thinking the most secure stance that you can have now is to understand where he's at, to not be threatened by this connection here with his ex. You know, if he does decide to continue a relationship with her, then that's telling you, you know, that there's something there that we don't know about, some issues that they need to resolve. That's not reflective of you.
Exactly. And you're doing the healthy thing and the confident thing by letting him make that decision and having to sit in silence and fear the loss of losing you. You know, because you don't want him to think he could have you while he figures things out with her too. Not in this situation anyway, right? Maybe in other ones, but not here. He needs to figure it out. And all along, he's got to think, okay, I'm going to lose her if I don't do something. And I think that has the strongest impact on him.
Right.
But I do think there's a lot of potential here, and just depends upon what happens with the ex.
Be clear about what you want.
Yep, and I think she has. And she's focused, so that's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so hopefully this one's been helpful to you. Of course, if you want to get our help personally, you can get it on my website, askcraig.net. I do email coaching and I do Skype. Victoria is also available for Skype coaching.
I'm here whenever you're ready to talk.
Just click on her name of the website to schedule with her. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth.
And I'm Coach Victoria.
And we will talk with you soon.